Hello, and welcome back to another episode of White Album 2. We are playing through the closing chapter on Koharu's route. This is the first episode of Koharu's route, so if you haven't already done so, please go back and watch the common route, because Koharu's branch takes place about halfway through the common route. Once you do go ahead, you have the Christmas Eve date with Setsuna. It doesn't go very well. You have to choose not to think about any other girls. Then you'll be presented with this decision, and you have to say, I should go to Goodies. Goodies being Koharu's workplace, and this is where her branch really starts. Unfortunately, Haruki is starting in the slumps of depression in this route. Christmas Day was nothing more than an ordinary winter day after Christmas Eve had passed. The snow had stopped piling up by the time dawn arrived and only served to deliver the chill of winter and hinder the steps of passers-by. By noon, it completely dissolved into blackened slush that merged into the ground. I can't deny the possibility that my own mental state is responsible for my currently cynical outlook. In the end, as expected, I haven't been able to get even a wink of sleep since then. I spent a whole night engraving the period of the dark sky gradually brightening outside my window in my mind. I then came to the clear realization that nights are not eternal. I had hoped fatigue and sleepiness would cloud my mind. However, they failed to expel the memories of a certain someone out of it, only serving to give me a splitting pain. I felt like I would have gone crazy if I remained alone in my room like that, so I decided to force myself to go outside. It's been a few hours since then. Watching a day of the sky covered with clouds darkening in real time also made me remember that daylight doesn't last forever either. I simply kept walking aimlessly until nighttime, and I finally ended up here. Goodies, Minami Suetsugu branch. I'd been standing outside watching my busy coworkers working inside the restaurant the whole time. Can you imagine looking out the window and just seeing Haruki, staring at you from the darkness? The number of customers is slightly lower than usual, though likely because both Hojo University and its affiliate high school have entered winter break, as the number of employees on shift is also accordingly lower as well. I don't see anyone resting in neither the kitchen nor the hall, not Sato, Nakagawa-san, or any of the remaining staff. That's why, if I'm here, this should be an accommodating venue for my current state of mind. My abrupt visit might instinctively strike them as unusual, but they'd probably direct me to the changing room and put me into uniform under the impression that I'm here to help on a rainy day. Except it's Christmas, so they might be like, why are you here? Perhaps I can wholeheartedly distract myself by staying busy with work. Or so I thought. In spite of picturing such a scenario, my feet are unwilling to move an inch toward the entrance. Because inside, she is there. The girl who had worked hard for me so I wouldn't have to come to work today. The girl who had encouraged me and pushed me forward. I can't meet with her right now. I don't know how to face her. After all, I couldn't follow her plan to the letter. I'm incapable of repaying her for her once-in-a-lifetime favor toward me.
Senpai! どうしてこんなところにいるんですか?
I deeply regret it. While I was busy thinking about her this entire time, I'd failed to realize that she had already noticed me.
今日、バイトお休みですよね。 店長代理にしっかり釘刺されてましたよね。
Your plan was too forced, Sugiura. It really wasn't. It was a really good plan, but sometimes people just aren't gonna work out.
そんなに私って信用なりませんか？もう教育期間も終わったし、十分使えるようになったって自負あるんですけど。
The issue is that people can come to trust you too much.
今年はもう来るなってあれほど言ったのに、だいたい先輩、今はそれどころじゃ。
That's none of your business. Let's make it clear that I'm your senior here. Rather, I'm your senior in every situation. Retorts surface in my mind, but I'm unable to speak them out loud. Even though I desperately want to talk back, there is someone desperately holding me back. That someone unmistakably being me, of course.
何があったんですか？
何もない。
After all, the very reason I can't stay here is standing right in front of me right now.
なら、私に笑うか怒るかしてみてください。できれば前者希望ですが、後者でも構いません。
Oh, just some reaction that isn't just straight up depression.
持ち場に戻れよ。今はまだ営業中だろ。
While I'd considered the possibility that something like this would happen, I hadn't thought about how I'd respond in such a situation at all. Why am I doing this?
ただ通りがかっただけだよ。杉浦のことだって信用してる。だからもう帰るから。
帰ったらダメです。
While I figured she'd say something like that as well, I came here of my own accord nonetheless. Am I really being more emotional than I expected? Am I really acting so differently from how I usually do? Yes, clearly. And to a level where her face is the first thing that comes to mind the moment I'm suffering all by myself, no less.
お店、まずいな。みんなもいるし。そうだ、そこのボナンザに入っててください。
杉浦。
She's pointing at the cafe across the street. If I took a seat by the window, it'd be convenient, given that we could keep an eye on each other due to how close and well lit the cafe is. Just sitting at the rival's cafe, can you imagine?
私、今日早番だから、もうすぐ終わるんです。そしたらすぐそっちに行きますから。
別にいいって。本当に通りかかっただけだから。
先輩は良くても私が良くないんです。精神衛生上。必ず行きますから。30分以内。絶対に帰っちゃダメですからね。
Turning a deaf ear to what I'd just explained to her, Sugiura made that promise on her own and hurried back into the restaurant. Am I really that easy to read the way I am now? Actually, I suppose it would be strange if she didn't realize something was up, given how suspiciously I've been conducting myself. Exactly. Returning to the restaurant, she started working again as if nothing had happened. But she also sent an unceremonious glance at me and pointed to the cafe across the street. She's so adorable. Sugiura Koharu. She's a girl filled with contradictions, a charitable junior, so to speak, who's meddlesome, goes out of her way to know about things she shouldn't, and goes the extra mile for someone who's no more than an acquaintance to her. Having lost all my strength, my heart can't bring itself to accept such an unconditional kindness right now. That's why I dashed away from my current location the second I noticed she wasn't paying attention to me for the slightest moment. What a cowardly thing to do. Had I accepted Sugiura's invitation and spent some time together with her, perhaps the wound I'm currently bearing would start to heal, even if only a little. In exchange for getting peace of mind, however, I'd have to tell her everything. And while I'm unsure as to who she'd side with between Setsuna and me, one thing's for sure. She'll lament, get angry, and try to further involve herself into the affair after learning of the result I've brought about. I can't let that happen. I can't let that happen to someone like her, who I can't really say is my friend, could never consider a lover, and yet I feel reluctant to consider her a mere junior of mine. You gotta let people in. You gotta let people support you. The melted snow weighs upon my footsteps and makes them heavier with each step, but I've finally managed to escape the goodies' bindings. Before I knew it, I'm right in front of Minami Suetsugu Station. With the way I am now, it seems I can only move toward places with large crowds, no matter what. The unnecessary sprint here causes my already exhausted body to feel uncomfortable, and I'm so out of breath that I could start coughing any minute. I mean, you already did. I'm feeling so hot that the chilly midwinter wind actually feels pleasant while my forehead is getting slightly sweaty. I bend over, placing my hands on my knees as I desperately try to catch my breath, all while regretting my meaningless and ridiculous escape. Why did I have to run all the way out here? Why do I have to be tormented by such guilt over something as trivial as this? It's not really that trivial, though. Like, you came to see a friend in a time of need, she said, okay, please wait over there, and then you ran away. Given that I was the one who put distance between us, why do I myself suddenly want to go back there again?
なんで
なんで逃げるんですか30分以内に行くってちゃんと言ったじゃないですか。そのくらい待ってくれてもいいじゃないですか。
I'd sprinted across the road as fast as I could. I'd put as much distance between us with as much strength as I could muster. And yet she still caught up to me so easily. No, she's actually just as out of breath as I am.
この格好で外出るのすっごい恥ずかしかったんですからね。
Oh, poor Koharu. And it's the middle of winter and she's in short sleeves and a skirt, so...
出るなよ
She was desperately chasing after me, and in the end, she caught up to me.
すいません。着替えは明日取りに。はい、必ず行きますから。
The first button I press is for a small can of black coffee. The second button is for a large can of milk coffee. An especially sweet one at that.
ちょっと友達関係のトラブルで。もう大丈夫です。ご迷惑をおかけしました。はい。はい。だから今日のバイト代は。いえ、そんな。わかりました。じゃあ、そういうことで。それじゃあ、今後ともよろしくお願いします。今日は本当にすいませんでした。
Man, Koharu's such a good worker.
お疲れどっちがいい
どっちがアイスですか
この寒いのに
暑いくらいです。誰かさんが逃げるから。
コート貸そうかって言おうかと思ってたくらいなんだけど
結構です。
Sugiura snatches the small can from my hand, her tone as furious as ever. Just as I thought, neither of us have a sweet tooth. What should I do with this milk coffee then?
みんなに迷惑かけちゃった。誰かさんが逃げるから。
Aww.
佐藤なんだって
ギリギリ回ってるから大丈夫だって。どうやらクビにならずに済んだみたいです。
切るわけないだろ、杉浦みたいな使えるやつ。俺が店長ならペナルティと称してもっと働かせる。
さすが先輩に教え込まれただけのことはありますね。4月以降もバイト続けるって約束させられました。
そっか。
That feels like a ripoff.
あっち、もうだから缶のホットは嫌なんですよ。
悪かったな。
Hot drinks from Japanese vending machines are actually very hot. I've definitely scalded my tongue a number of times. Really good for holding in your hands in the winter, though. It seems she's not a fan of warm beverages, despite lacking a sweet tooth. It's so sweet. The two of us remained seated on a bench in front of the station, staring at the night sky while drinking our coffee. Given that most of the clouds have gone and a large number of stars are now visible, I'm expecting tomorrow's weather to turn for the better. However, when the weather becomes normal again on winter nights, there's also radiative cooling we have to worry about. Then I'm sure tomorrow morning will be...
寒い。ものすごく寒くなってきたじゃないですか。どうしてくれるんですか、先輩。
Actually, this isn't the time to think about matters like tomorrow morning and the like. Just the sudden chill resulting from the bitter cold hitting my body that was quite hot from my running was enough to tell me that.
じゃあどこかあったかいところ入るか。喫茶店とかファミレスとか。
この格好で？
Right? Wearing a competitor's uniform.
ああ。
As she says so, she points to the mini skirt that's part of her uniform, to which I have no proper reply.
誰かさんが逃げるから。ほんと、とんだとばっちりです。
ごめん。
She really is such a supportive friend, though.
寒くないですか?
Especially someone who cares about her job as much as she does, it just goes to show how much she cares about supporting Haruki.
比較的大丈夫。
そうですか。
What I said was partly just me trying to act tough, while it was also partly true. Easing this cold loneliness inside me is much more important than simply warming my body at the moment.
私、自分の仕事を放り出したの、生まれて初めてかも。
悪かった。
でもまあ、仕方ありません。放っておけなかったんです。先輩のことは。
The moment she sat next to me and started to talk to me, there was no hiding anything anymore.
お店の外でぼーっと立ってた先輩はなんだか心だけがそこにいないみたいで。
そう見えたんだ。
だから今見失ったら二度と捕まえられないんじゃないかって、そんな不安に駆られちゃって。
I am currently being spoiled by my fellow charitable junior, Sugiura Koharu.
君が俺を捕まえる必要なんてないだろ。
まあそれはそうなんですけどね。
杉浦はどんな時にでもまっすぐ来るよな。いい意味でも悪い意味でも。
先輩はどんな時にでもひねくれてますよね。そっちの方が不自然だと思います。
かもな。
I poured the lukewarm coffee into my mouth in one go and swallowed the words that were already on the tip of my tongue with it. I suppose that's just the 3-year age difference between Sugiura and me.
穂子とは1年の時から同じクラスだったんです。彼女は幼稚園からの純粋培養の北条生で、私は付属からの新参者で。
俺だってそうだよ。
About half of the students in our first year of Hojo High were new to the school, so by no means were we a minority. Moreover, getting a recommendation to Hojo University was a very attractive prospect. If my memory serves me right, the entrance exam to the high school was quite a challenge.
けど、昔からの友達が多いはずなのに、美穂子、あんまりクラスに溶け込めてなかったんですよね。
おとなしい子だからな。
それに体も弱くて、私、入学してすぐに委員長になったから、毎月のように美穂子の家にお見舞いに行ってたな。
ノートとかプリントとか持ってってな。
Although I was never assigned to visit a certain student's house on a regular basis, I do remember visiting the residences of more than 10 people.
そうこうしていくうちに仲良くなって、クラスでも一緒にいることが増えてったんです。最初のうちはみんなに不思議がられましたけどね。
性格かなり違うもんな。
I imagine that most people didn't expect Sugiura, who is the very picture of assertiveness and sociability, to pair up with Yada-san, who is her exact opposite. Although I don't think it's that uncommon for super outgoing people to befriend shy people. The shy people just end up following around the assertive people, which is exactly what happened here.
でも、そっくりなところもあるんですよ。どこだと思います？
真面目なところだろ。彼女すごく勉強熱心だったし、杉浦だって。
それもあるんですけどね。一番の共通点は二人ともすごく強情なところ。
矢田さんが？
杉浦がとは聞かないんですね。
あ、いや、ごめん。何？
私はこんな性格だから、どんなことでも美穂子と一緒にみんなの輪の中に入っていこうとしたんです。
ああ。
Sugiura looked at me kindly for a brief moment before she immediately continued talking about the past, as if nothing had happened.
けど美穂子は一人でいるか、私と二人くらいがちょうどいいみたいで。
うん、そういう子だった。
だからそういう誘いになかなか乗らなくて、それでも私がしつこく誘うものだから何度も喧嘩したことあるんですよ。
I mean, as long as she's a nice person, it doesn't seem that bad. But from what we've seen from Yada-san, she's a little, like, I don't want to be mean, but she's kind of annoying.
喧嘩？あの矢田さんが？
絶対に自分の主張を曲げないですよ、あの子。おとなしいんだけど、無言で拒絶するんだから。
全然気づかなかった。
In other words, that's the side that she's only shown to her best friend. This is another notable difference between her and Sugiura, given that the latter can act so stubbornly in front of just about anyone.
今だってちょっと冷戦気味なんですよ。電話もメールも受けてくれなくて。美穂子、強情だから諦めも悪くって、ついでにいろいろと誤解も重なっちゃって。
それって？
いいえ、これは私と美穂子の問題ですから、ちゃんと二人だけで解決してみせますので、ご安心を。
杉浦。
When Sugiura changed the subject, as if purposefully avoiding a certain topic, I understood the meaning behind her kind smile from earlier. I also understand the reason why she's been only talking about herself since a while ago.
それで、美穂子とは2年の時にだけ一度クラスが離れちゃったんですけど。
聞かないのか？
聞きません。
Even though I questioned her suddenly, she picked up on my intentions perfectly and didn't hesitate to give me a plain answer. I mean, if he wants to talk about it, that's great, but she probably realizes that Haruki absolutely will not tell her right now. So giving him kind of a distraction is really sweet of her.
気にしてないのか？
気にならないわけないじゃないですか。だからこうして追いかけてきたんだから。でも私にだってそのくらいのデリカシーはあります。
In other words, even though she was worried about me, she took my feelings into consideration and didn't pry any further.
いろいろとおせっかいを焼いた手前、自分のしたことで先輩がどうなってしまったのか、本当はすごく気になってます。
She continues talking about her own life without stopping, unhindered by the usual possibility of me giving a light retort and potentially causing the conversation to go nowhere because of it.
でも今はなんか違うなって。いつもみたいな喧嘩をしないことが一番大事かなって。
Aww. She went from directly intervening to influencing from the sidelines.
だったら追いかけなきゃいいってことかもしれないですけど、それもなんか違うような。うまく言えませんけど。
That's something I couldn't do myself.
不自然でしたか？
うん。ただ変わったなって杉浦。
たった一月かそこらの付き合いでそんな分かったようなこと言われたくないです。
Very true. Although in White Album 2, 1 month means a lot.
先輩に3年及ばないだけで、私にだって自分なりに長く濃い歴史があるんです。
そうだな。
その間に私も少しずつ変わってきてるし、逆にずっと変わらないものだってある。
杉浦の言う通りだ。
だから先輩の言いようは少し引っかかります。私のこと知らないくせに傲慢で独善的で。
She's already started. She can't help but argue a little bit.
どうした？
ごめんなさい。喧嘩をしないことが一番大事って言っといて。
やっぱ変わったと思うよ、杉浦は。今まで以上にいいやつになった。
先輩が少しだけ元に戻りかけてるのは理解できました。私をからかって楽しいんですよね。
Aww, her little blush is so cute.
うん。ありがとう。
Sugiura looked down and fell silent. However, right now, this silence feels more pleasant than anything else. Although the thorns thrust into my heart can't be removed so easily, I can still feel the medicine starting to work its magic on my wound.
いいよ、出て。
すいません。ほら、先輩。言った通りじゃないですか。ちゃんと二人で解決できるって。
The phone's display that Sugiura held out to me showed the name Yara Mihoko.
そっか。私の方も言い過ぎた。だから全然気にしてないって。だからもうこの話はおしまい。へえ、パーティーやってるんだ。そっか、今日クリスマスだもんね。私ごめん、まだバイト先ちょっと間に合いそうにないな。そうだね、また電話する。ただ年内はずっとバイトだからなかなか時間取れないけど。それじゃまだ仕事残ってるから。あ、それとメリークリスマス、美穂子。
行けばよかったのに。みんなでクリスマスパーティーやってたんだろ。
パーティーなんて名ばかりですよ。いつもみたいにカラオケで騒いでるだけみたい。
それでもさ。
いいんです。今日は先輩に話し相手になってもらうって決めたんだから。
She's so cute.
杉浦。
今日のところは 美穂子と話せただけでいいです。仲直りできただけで満足です。
そっか。
So it's not that she's become a companion for me to talk to, but rather she wants to be a companion for me to talk to, is it? She's really changed as I thought. She's gradually getting more and more kind before my very eyes. Or perhaps it's because I looked so pitiful that she just couldn't stop herself from becoming so kind to me.
ねえ先輩。私まだ諦めたわけじゃないですからね。
何を？
美穂子と先輩の仲直りをですよ。
And she's not just kinder, she hasn't lost the strength resting at her core either.
付き合えないのはしょうがないけれど、それでも先輩は彼女の憧れだったんです。
There are still parts about her that stay the same, but just as she said, there are also parts of her that are changing little by little.
そのことはちゃんと受け止めてほしいし、友達に戻ってほしいと思ってる。
They were never friends to begin with. It was just a part-time job. I've come to realize that the girl who I thought was similar to me is actually different, and she's continuing to diverge in her own straightforward direction.
だって二人とも私の大切な友達だし。
ありがとう、杉浦。
もう今日の先輩やだ。
何が？
先輩がそうやって通り一遍の受け答えしかできないから、私がこんな恥ずかしいこと言う羽目になるんですよ。
ごめん。悪い。通り一遍の受け答えしかできなくて。
いいです。今日の先輩は本当にどうしようもないって分かってますから。
Even while saying that, she's kept her smile today. And it's because of this expression that she appears to be even much more attractive than usual, and even more reliable as well.
あのさ、杉浦。
何ですか？
明日からバイトに戻ってもいいかな。
Alright, and I think we're gonna stop here for today. Wonderful first step in Haruki slightly recovering his own heart. Thanks so much for being here with me on Koharu's route, and I'll be back with more of her route in the future. Until then, I hope you take care. See you!